Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenny. If this is your first time in this channel, thank you for stopping by and feel free to join this supportive family. And thank you to my host subscribers for all your support. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like and share this video. Today's video is the making of this off-shoulder bustier with a sleeve band. Let's get started. Welcome again, soulmates. So in today's tutorial I have these materials here. I have my zipper, I have my lining, my interfacing. You can use any interfacing of your choice. I also have my wadding and I have this bra cup. So I also have my fabric right here. So this is an Olantex material. You can see an Olantex right here. Is 100% cotton. So this is like one of the best companies so far on Ankara. You can see it here. So this is Olantex. So right now I went ahead to fold my fabric into two. So we are going to be cutting the front part first of all. So after folding your fabric into two, I'm just going to go ahead and rule out the starting line like this. So just go ahead and rule out your starting line. So on that starting line, I'm going to off 5 inches. That is how off my client wants it to be. So placing my 5-inch, you can off as low as 6 to 8 inches, or you can go up to 4 inches. So placing my tape on that starting line, I input my armhole length, which is 9 inches, my bust point, which is 11 inches, and my under bust, which is 14.5. Then going to the half length of the person is 18 inches, but I added 2 inches sewing allowance to it. So all these marks right there, I'm going to be marking them right at the center front like this. So here we have the waistline, the under bust, we have the bust point and the chest line. So right on the under bust, I'm going to be placing the person bust span, which is 5 inches. So actually the person bust span is 4.5. Then I added half inch to it for the stitching allowance because we are cutting directly on our fabric. So I connected all the points I made on the lines like this. Coming to the top, instead of marking 5 inches, I marked 5.5. So I added extra half inch to the top. This is what we have. So right at the under bust, towards the center front, I'm going to be marking down 1 inch. Then towards the side front, I'll be marking 2 inches. So that is that intake I'm going to use for this bust size. So right at the waistline, towards the side front, whatsoever you have right there, you're going to subtract half inch and place it on the waist area. And towards the center front, you're also going to subtract half inch and place it on the waist area. So you can see what I'm doing. Then go ahead and connect the points like this. So after connecting the points on the bust point line, I'm going to go down by 1 inch. Then on that bust point line, I'm also going to go up by 1 inch. It helps to get rid of any sharp points at that bust point area. Then connect from the bust point to the under bust with a curve, and towards the center front you are going to make a slant curve like this. So at the top I'm going to mark 1 inch at both sides as you see me doing. So then connect it to the bust point So just connect it on that 1 inch you went up from the bust point, just like this as you see me doing. So just connect everything like this. So after connecting them, you can see the bustier is already forming. So guys, also at the top, I'm just going to divide my shoulder measurement by 2. Just go ahead and divide your shoulder measurement by 2, then subtract 1.5 inches. You can subtract up to 2 inches, but I'll be subtracting 1.5. So what I did, I measured what I got from the dart leg to the center front, and whatsoever I got, I placed it on the other dart leg, and I continued with my neck width of 6 inches. So the shoulder measurements I working with is 15 inches. When I divided it into 2, I got 7.5. Then after subtracting 1.5, it was 6 inches. So I added half inch to that 6 inches, making 6.5. So that is what I'm using for the neck width. So on the chest line, divide your bust measurement by 4, then add your 2 inches stitching allowance. Then you're just going to be connecting your armhole from the neck width to the chest area, to the chest line like this. So after connecting the armhole, guys, we are going to input our body measurements. So on the under bust, you see what I'm doing. I just measured what I have from the dart leg to the center front, and whatever I have, I placed it on the other dart leg, and I continued with my measurements. So the under bust of the person is 38 divided by 4, I got 9.5. Then I added 2 inches stitching allowance to it. So you can see me marking it right there. So coming to the waist area, you're also going to do the same thing. Measure what you have from the dart leg to the center front. Whatsoever you have there, you place it to this other dart leg right here like this. Then you continue with your measurements. So the waist measurement of this person is 38.5. So divided by 4, I got 9.6. So I added my 2 inches stitching allowance. Then I'm just going to be connecting them like this. So just go ahead and connect the points together like this. So right now we are going to be cutting out the front pattern. So just watch carefully on how I'm cutting this so that you will not make mistake while cutting yours. So guys, after cutting it out, you can see what we have. You can see the center front. So for us to get the sweetheart neck, I went down from the starting line by 1 inch. I'm just going to connect it with my pattern master like this. Just going to be connecting the sweetheart neck with my pattern master like this, so you can see what I'm doing. So this is the shape I want for the sweetheart neck. So right now I'll just go ahead and cut it out. So these are the panel for the front. You can see the front panels. So right now let's cut out the back. So for the back, I've gone ahead to fold my fabric again into 2, and I've ruled out the starting line as you can see right here. So on that starting line, I'm also going to off 5 inches, and I'm going to go down by the top length, which is 20 inches. Exactly what we used for the front. So the length of the front and the back is going to be the same. So we are going to be using the same length for the front and the back. So then towards the center back, I marked out 2 inches. So this is going to serve as the zip allowance. So still placing my tape on the starting line, taking note of the 5 inches I off, I went down by my armhole length, which is 9 inches. So after doing that, from the zip allowance line, I'm going to go in by my neck width of 6.5, just like what we used for the front. So the neck width is 6.5, as you can see me doing right here. So on the chest line, go ahead and divide your bust measurement by 4. Then you place it there and add your stitching allowance. So then go ahead and connect your armhole curve. So right at the waist area, I'm also going to divide the person's waist measurement by 4, place it there, add my 2 inches stitching allowance and 1 inch for that, because the back is going to have a dart. So I'm going to connect the points together like this. After connecting, just go ahead and cut this out. Right at the center back, I'm going to open up the zip allowance. These are the panels for the back and these are the panels for the front, so you can see what we have. So right now I'm just going to cut them all on my lining, and also I'm going to be cutting out my interfacing for the lining to give it a little bit of strength. For the flare, I went ahead to fold my fabric into 2 like this. So just go ahead and fold your fabric into 2. Then after folding, you fold it again like you see me doing like this. So you're just going to be folding it this way. Make sure everything is straight and firm. So guys, after folding, you can see the closed edge and we have 2 closed edges at this part. Just go ahead and sketch out a rough curve like this. So I'm just going to measure out what I have there. So the waist measurement I'm using is 38.5 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. Then I divided it by 4. So I got 10.1. After measuring this curve, it was up to 8.5. It was not actually the waist circumference I needed. So I went ahead to make another curve. So just go ahead and measure this particular curve to see if it's up to the 10.5. And after measuring, I discovered it was up to 10.5. Right now, I'm just going to place my flare length, and to get your flare length, what you do is you are going to subtract your half length from your top length. Top length of this person is 25 inches and the half length is 18 inches. So after subtracting the half length, I got 7 inches. So that is what you see me marking. Then I added 1 inch stitching allowance to it. So I went ahead to mark 8 inches all round for the flare length. So just go ahead and cut it out. So guys, after cutting it out, you can see it. You can see what we have. So just go ahead and open one side of the flare like this. So after opening it, you can see the flare effect. So I'm just going to cut this on my lining. I'm just placing my lining on my fabric. On the right side, just go ahead and place your lining on the right side of the fabric like you see me doing. So I'm just going to be stitching it up all the way round like this. So just go ahead and stitch it up all the way around like this. So guys, I've also gone ahead to iron down my wadding, and I've also iron down the interfacing for the lining. So I'm going to pick one of the side fronts and I'll be placing it on the center front. So I'm just going to cut out this excess wording right here. So just go ahead and place the two pieces like this, right side facing each other, so you can see me doing. Then indicate the under bust and pin them down. Then after pinning down the under bust, just go ahead and make sure everything aligned properly and pin them down. So after pinning, you can see, so I'm just going to take it to my machine and stitch up this part, but I will advise you should always start from the bottom and stitch all the way to the top. So after stitching and you open it up, it's going to come out this way like this, you can see. So I'm going to be doing the same thing for this other side. So coming to the back piece, I'm going to be placing my lining on the right side of the fabric like this, so you can see what I'm doing. So just place your lining on the right side of the fabric like this, then you stitch up the zip allowance, stitch up the neckline, stitch up the side. The armhole should be left open and also the down part. Then you do the same thing for the other piece. So guys, I've gone ahead to stitch up the bustier. You can see how it's looking. So at the under bust, I'm just going to be making notches right there. So just go ahead and make notches right at the under bust. This will help the bustier to fit perfectly and relax very well. And when I open it up, you can see what we are having. I've not ironed it yet. So by the time I ironed it, everything is going to relax properly. And also on the lining part, you can see I've gone ahead to stitch up the lining too. And I'm going to be making notches right at the under bust also. Right now, I'm just going to be placing the lining right side facing the main fabric like this, and making sure that the darts on the lining align well with that of the fabric. You can see what I'm doing. So just go ahead and pin them down. So you're just going to stitch up the side like this. You stitch up the other side and stitch up the neckline like this. So guys, this is the back piece. So after turning it, I'm just going to be flipping it over like this on the other piece. Then I'm going to mark out my zip allowance. You can see. So I'm just going to mark out my zip allowance of 1.5 inch, because we've used 1/2 inch in turning the lining. So right now from that zip line, I went ahead to mark out the person's bust span, which is 5 inches. Then I marked 1/2 inch at both sides of the line. You can see what I'm doing. Then I went ahead to draw out my dart like this. To sew down your dart, you're just going to pick the 1/2 inch at both sides, and you're going to be stitching it all the way from the bottom to the top. So whatsoever you do to this part, you're going to do it for this other part. So guys, I've gone ahead to turn the front with my lining, and right at the neckline, I'm just going to be making notches like this. So just go ahead and make notches right there. So after making notches, I'm just going to be turning it out to the right side. So guys, after turning, you can see what we have right here. You can see how it's looking. So right now I'm just going to be bringing the back piece, and you can see the dart and the zip allowance. So I'm going to be stitching up the both side, and after that I'm going to input my bust measurement, my under bust measurement, and also my waist measurements right here. I'll do this and come and show you guys. So guys, you can see the flare. I've gone ahead to sew it round as I said, and also at the both ends I closed it up. So after turning the flare from the waist area, I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch. So just go ahead and top stitch on this waist area. You can see what I'm doing. So after turning it to the right side from the waist part, you're going to top stitch the waist area like this, like the way I'm doing. Before you do this, make sure your flare is ironed properly. After stitching up the side, we can see what we have. So we are going to go ahead and trim off the half length. Remember, we off 5 inches. So placing my 5-inch at the top, then I'll go down to my under bust. Then after that, I'll go down to my half length. So remember, the half length I'm working with is 18 inches plus half inch for attaching the blouse to the flare, so making 18.5. So I'll just go ahead and mark it out like this, 18.5 out. So after the marking, guys, the next thing to do is for us to cut this out. So guys, after cutting, you can see how it's looking now, and this is the back part. So as you all know that the front is always longer than that of the back, so as you see me doing, so you're just going to make sure everything align properly, making sure that the two seams are matching up with each other. So you are just going to be placing it like this. Then on the zip area, you are just going to go up by 1 inch. So just go up by 1 inch. Then towards the side of the seam, so towards the seam area, you're just going to make a slant line like this. You can see me doing. So just go ahead and make a slant line like this. So this part is going to be cut off. So this is to avoid any bulginess at the zip area. So guys, after cutting it out, you can see the midpoint of the bustier, and right here is the flare. You can see how the top of the flare is looking so neat. So the next thing for us to do is for us to fold the flare into 2 to get the midpoint of the flare. So I'm just going to notch it like this. So then after notching, I'm just going to be placing the flare and the top right side facing. But first of all, I will open up the zip allowance. So after that, I'm going to be placing the flare right side facing on the blouse like this. So I'm just going to match up the midpoints together and pin them down, and go ahead and match up every other part, making sure that everything aligns properly. So after that, you can see it aligned. There is no excess on the flare part. So this is it. It's already looking beautiful. You can see, guys. So this is how to cut your flare, and I'm sure you're not going to have any excess. So the next thing is for me to go ahead and stitch up these parts like this. So guys, after stitching it up, you can see what we have, guys. You can see the flare is flaring. So if you want your flare to stand very well, you can add a peplum stay to it to give it more standing effect. But my client does not want it that way. She just wants it to be like the way it is right now. Right now I'm going to be attaching my zipper, and I'm going to be facing the right side of the zipper on the right side of the fabric like this, because this is a top. So we are going to be attaching the bottom of the zipper like this. You can see, making sure that the excess zipper is at the top. So guys, you can see the zipper. I've gone ahead to attach it, and you can see the waist area, everything aligned well. So when I opened up the zipper, you can see the excess we have right here. You can see the excess. So you don't need to cut off this excess. All what you need to do is just go ahead and fold it in this way, right on the zip allowance part. So just go ahead and fold it, then pin it up. So take it to your sewing machine and stitch it up. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to be trimming off the armhole. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just pinning every part down together, making sure that the midpoint of the back, that is the center back, aligns with the center front. So we are going to be trimming off the armhole. So on doing that, always remember that we off 5 inches. So from that 5 inches, I will go down by my armhole length, which is 9 inches. You can see what I marked over there. So right there, I'm just going to be curving it like this. I'm going to be making my armhole curve like this. So just go ahead and also do the same for the other armhole. Come down by your armhole length and curve out your armhole curve. The next thing to do is to cut them out. So guys, the next thing for us to do is for us to attach our sleeves. And I've gone ahead to cut out these 2 pieces of fabric, which is going to be used for the 2 sleeves. And the width of the sleeve is 16 inches and the length is 13 inches. So 16 by 13. So at the top area, I'm just going to be marking out my starting line. So just go down by ½ inch for the starting line like this. So you can see right here, I've gone ahead to attach this other sleeve. And you can see the sleeve band of 1 inch. So right now we are going to be cutting out the sleeve for this other part. So what I did on that half length from that starting line, I went up by 1 inch. So that is what you see me marking. So I went up by 1 inch. With that 1 inch is going to serve as the band. So on that 1 inch, I'm going to place my blouse on it like this. You see me trying to see if it's up to that 1 inch. After placing it, so I'm just going to trace out the armhole. So make sure towards the side of the sleeve, make sure to leave 1 inch stitching allowance. Then I'll cut it out. So right at the top, I'm going to be making gathers, and at the bottom of the sleeve, I'm going to be folding it in like this. So guys, after making the gathers, you can see what we have. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and pull the threads like this. So just go ahead and pull the threads to give us the gather effect. So after pulling the threads, I went ahead to cut out this piece of fabric, which I'm going to use for the band. And the width of this fabric is 12 inches. It's 12 inches, and on fold is 6 inches. How I got this 6 inches is, remember we off 5 inches when drafting the bustier. Then I added 1 inch stitching allowance to it, so making 6 inches. Then the length of the band is 3 inches. So right now, go ahead and place the band on the sleeve. The right side of the band should be on the wrong side of the sleeve. Then place it and pin it up like this. So make sure the midpoint of the sleeve and the band matches together. Then you just go ahead and stitch it up like this. So after stitching it up, you can see what the right side is looking like. You can see the stitches at the right side, and you can see what the wrong side is looking like. So right now we are going to be using the band to cover up the rough edges at the right side of the sleeve. So just go ahead and fold your band like this, then you fold it on the rough edge like this. So you can see what I'm doing. So just fold it this way and fold it like this again. So after I must have finished stitching it, I'm also going to be stitching up the side by ½ inch. So guys, this is the sleeve and this is already 9th. I decided to film this part on how to attach the sleeve to the blouse. So this is what I do for love. So to attach it to the blouse, you are going to match up the seam of the blouse to that of the sleeve like this. So make sure the both seams matches up. So on the sleeve area, remember we added 1 inch for stitching allowance, so I'm just going to mark that 1 inch. Then ½ inch on the blouse, I'm going to be aligning them together like this, then pin it down. So coming to this other part, I'm also going to be doing the same thing. So I'm just going to align it like this, just pin it down. Then at the top of the sleeve, going to mark out the 1 inch allowance we left. Then on the blouse, going to mark 1/2 inch right there. So I'm going to align both of them together. The 1/2 inch and the 1 inch should match up together like this. So after that, I'm going to be stitching it up like this all the way to this other end. I've gone ahead to stitch down the both sleeves, and you can see them right here, and you can see the flare part. So you can see how this bustier is looking beautiful. So this is how to cut your off shoulder bustier. So thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.
In the pool, talk to you, dripping wet. Nervous when I speak, so I trip on my